The Great Hall on Zentari Prime had never seen anything like this before. 12 different alien species sat around a massive circular table that glowed with soft blue light. The air buzzed with tension as translators worked to help everyone understand each other. Ambassador Zelthak stood up slowly. His crystal body caught the light and threw rainbow patterns on the walls. When he spoke, his voice rang like bells in the huge room. "The vote is complete," he announced. "All 12 member species of the Galactic Council have agreed." The room erupted in excited chatter. Some aliens clicked their claws on the table. Others made whistling sounds that meant approval. The Vorthak delegation, large gray beings with 4 arms, banged their fists together in celebration. Commander Yexis of the Vorthak stepped forward. Her uniform was covered in metal decorations that showed her high rank. She activated a holographic display that filled the center of the room. "Look at this evidence," she said. Images of human ships appeared in the air. The humans have spread to 17 star systems in just 200 years. More images appeared. They showed human cities, human ships, and human soldiers. The aliens studied them carefully. "Their entertainment shows nothing but war and fighting," Commander Yexis continued. "Their history books are full of battles and conflicts." A tall, thin alien with green skin raised one of his 3 hands. He asked. "Primitive," Commander Yexis replied. "Their ships are slow and clumsy. Their weapons are basic." Ambassador Zelthak nodded. "The humans are like a disease spreading through space. They take resources that could go to peaceful species." The council members began to discuss what they would do. Their plan was simple. They would give the humans one warning. The humans would have 1 Earth year to leave all their colonies and return to their home solar system. If they refused, the combined galactic fleet would destroy them. "Was the Starbound?" asked a slug-like creature from across the table. 10,000 warships from all our fleets combined," Commander Yexis answered. "The humans have maybe 300 ships total." The aliens spent the next several hours working out details. They would broadcast their message to all human colonies at the same time. The message would be clear and simple. The humans could choose to leave peacefully or be destroyed. As the meeting ended, they prepared the transmission equipment. The message would reach Earth in 6 hours. Ambassador Zelthak stood in front of the recording device and began to speak. "People of Earth and human colonies," he said in his ringing voice, "the Galactic Council has voted. You have violated the sacred laws of peaceful expansion. You have taken what does not belong to you." The crystal alien paused to let his words sink in. "You have 1 Earth year to withdraw all humans to your home solar system. Remove your colonies. Bring back your ships." His voice became harder. "If you do not obey this order, we will send our combined fleet to force you to comply. We have 10,000 warships ready. Your few hundred ships cannot stop us." The transmission ended. The aliens felt proud of themselves. They had been fair and given the humans a choice. Most thought the humans would be smart enough to accept defeat without a fight. 6 hours later, the message reached Earth. In Geneva, Switzerland, the Global Defense Council was having their monthly meeting. General Sarah Chen, a small woman with gray hair, was discussing supply shipments to the outer colonies when the alien transmission interrupted their meeting. The holographic image of Ambassador Zelthak appeared in the center of their conference room. The alien began speaking his ultimatum. The human leaders listened in complete silence. General Chen exchanged a quick look with Admiral Marcus Torres, a tall man with a thick beard. Defense Minister Yuki Tanaka, a serious-faced woman, raised her eyebrows slightly, but none of them seemed worried or scared. As the alien message continued, something unexpected happened. General Chen's mouth twitched at the corner. Then she began to smile. The smile turned into a quiet chuckle. Admiral Torres looked at her and started grinning too. His grin became a laugh. Soon, Minister Tanaka was also laughing quietly. The alien ambassador continued talking about their mighty fleet and humanity's certain defeat, but the human leaders found it funnier and funnier. Their quiet laughter grew louder. By the time the message ended, all 12 members of the Global Defense Council were laughing. Some were wiping tears from their eyes. General Chen was holding her stomach because she was laughing so hard. The holographic alien looked confused. "I do not understand your reaction," Ambassador Zelthak said. "We have just declared war on your species." General Chen stood up, still chuckling. She wiped her eyes and looked directly at the alien hologram. "I'm sorry," she said, still smiling. "It's just that we've been waiting for this day for over 200 years. Admiral Torres leaned back in his chair. 10,000 ships? That's impressive. The alien ambassador's crystal body flickered with confusion. "Oh, we don't think we're going to be destroyed," General Chen replied cheerfully. "We think this is going to be very educational." Defense Minister Tanaka stood up and walked over to a wall panel. "If you'll excuse us, Ambassador, we have some phone calls to make." She pressed a button and the alien transmission ended. The room fell quiet for a moment. Then General Chen turned to her staff. "Gentlemen and ladies," she said, her voice suddenly serious, "activate the Henderson Protocol." Outside the windows of the Geneva building, stars twinkled in the night sky. Those same stars were about to witness something that would change the galaxy forever. 2 hours after the alien ultimatum, emergency signals flashed across human space. The Henderson Protocol was active for the first time in over 2 centuries. Colonel Martinez stood in the command center deep beneath New Geneva Colony on Kepler 442b. To visiting aliens, this place looked like a simple mining operation. They were wrong. Martinez watched as blast doors opened to reveal massive underground factories that had been hidden for decades. "Begin Conversion Protocol 7, she ordered. Around her, technicians activated systems that most humans had only heard about in classified briefings. The aliens thought they had been watching humanity for 200 years. They were right. But they had missed something important. Humans had been watching them back for 230 years. When humanity first met the aliens, the governments of Earth had learned an important lesson from history. Peace was wonderful, but it never lasted forever. Someone always wanted what someone else had. So while diplomats smiled and signed trade agreements, engineers and soldiers prepared for war. Admiral Sarah Henderson had been the first to propose the plan that now carried her name. "We will expand into space," she had told the Earth Council in 2157. "But every colony will be a fortress. Every ship will be a weapon." For over 2 centuries, humanity had followed her plan. When aliens visited human colonies, they saw farms and cities and happy families. They never saw the underground weapons factories. They never noticed that every civilian building could become a military bunker in less than an hour. The aliens had counted human ships and felt confident about their advantage, but they had made a critical mistake. They counted only the ships they could see. Most of human space fleet was invisible. Captain Rodriguez commanded what appeared to be a simple cargo ship carrying food supplies between colonies. The bright star looked old and slow. Alien inspectors had examined it dozens of times over the years and found nothing suspicious. But when Rodriguez received the Henderson Protocol signal, everything changed. Hidden panels opened across the ship's hull. The cargo bay converted into a launch tube for attack drones. The engines revealed their true power as military-grade fusion drives came online. In 30 minutes, the bright star transformed from a peaceful merchant vessel into a destroyer-class warship. Across human space, 3,000 other cargo ships were making the same transformation. The aliens thought humans had colonized 17 star systems. This was also wrong. Humans had established hidden bases in over 800 systems. Small teams of humans had been living in secret on asteroids, moons, and uninhabited planets for generations. On the outer edge of the vegan system, maintenance worker Chen Li received the activation signal. For 15 years, he had lived alone on a small asteroid, pretending to run a mining operation. The Vorthak ships passed by his asteroid every few months and never suspected anything. Chen Li pressed a sequence of buttons on his control panel. The asteroid split open like a flower. Inside was a massive sensor array and communication station. Within minutes, he was tracking every alien ship within 50 light-years and sending the information to human command centers. Across the galaxy, 800 hidden bases came alive at the same time. The humans had built the largest intelligence network in galactic history. Every alien movement had been watched and recorded for decades. But the aliens' biggest mistake was underestimating human technology. For 200 years, humans had deliberately used old and slow equipment when aliens were watching. Every trade meeting, every diplomatic visit, every inspection had been carefully staged to hide humanity's real capabilities. Dr. Kim worked in the Agricultural Research Station on Tau Ceti Prime. Alien scientists often visited to study human farming techniques. They saw crops growing and primitive-looking equipment. They never asked about the tunnels that went down 3 kilometers underground. Deep below the surface, Dr. Kim and her team had been developing weapons technology that was centuries ahead of anything the aliens had seen. They had taken alien science, improved it, and combined it with uniquely human approaches to problem-solving. While aliens developed weapons slowly and carefully over thousands of years, humans had compressed the same development into just 2 centuries. They had advantages that came from being newer to the galaxy. They weren't limited by traditions and old ways of thinking. The aliens used energy weapons that heated targets until they melted. Humans had developed kinetic weapons that hit targets with the force of small asteroids. The aliens used shields that deflected energy beams. Human weapons went right through those shields as if they weren't there. General Chen sat in the war room buried beneath the Swiss Alps on Earth. Screens around her showed the activation of hidden bases across the galaxy. Each green light represented a facility that had just revealed itself after decades of careful hiding. "Status report," she ordered. "All deep cover facilities are online," reported her aide. 847 bases reporting ready. "The Damocles network is activating now." General Chen smiled. The Damocles network was perhaps humanity's greatest achievement. For generations, humans had been living and working throughout alien space. They were traders, researchers, diplomats, tourists, and workers. The aliens saw them as harmless visitors. But every single one of those humans was a trained operative. They had spent years learning alien languages, alien customs, and alien weaknesses. They had married aliens, raised children with them, and become trusted parts of alien society. Tomorrow, when the aliens tried to mobilize their fleets, they would discover that their fuel refineries had mysterious accidents. Their supply ships would suffer computer malfunctions. Their communication networks would develop strange errors. The aliens would never suspect that the helpful human technician who had been maintaining their equipment for the past 10 years was the one causing the problems. Admiral Torres joined General Chen at the main display screen. "The aliens gave us 1 year to withdraw," he said. "Send a response," General Chen replied. "Tell them we accept their ultimatum." Torres looked surprised. General Chen's smile grew wider. "We will withdraw our visible colonies, the ones they know about. Let them think they've won." She turned to address the entire command center. "Ladies and gentlemen, for over 200 years we have prepared for this moment. We have built the greatest military force in galactic history." The room fell silent as every person focused on their commander. "The aliens think they are about to fight 300 human ships with their 10,000. They have no idea they are about to face the entire human race." General Chen pressed a button that sent signals across human space. In 800 hidden bases, in 3,000 disguised ships, in the homes of 68,000 deep cover agents, Humans received the same message. Phase 1 complete. Begin Phase 2. 6 months later, the greatest fleet in galactic history gathered at the edge of human space. Admiral Kethros stood on the bridge of the Vorthak flagship Eternal Glory and watched as 10,000 alien warships formed into attack formation. The sight was magnificent. Ships from 12 different species floated in perfect order. Each vessel was a masterpiece of engineering, built according to thousands of years of naval tradition. The fleet stretched across space like a metal galaxy of death and power. "This will be over quickly," Admiral Kethros told his officers. "The humans have had 6 months to withdraw their colonies. Our scouts report they are keeping their promise." Commander Yexus studied the tactical display. "Our intelligence confirms the humans have pulled back to their home system. Only a few hundred ships remain to defend Earth." The alien fleet moved forward together in a formation that had been used successfully for millennia. Large battleships led the advance, their heavy weapons ready to break through enemy defenses. Medium cruisers followed to exploit any openings. Fast destroyers would finish off survivors. It was an ancient and proven strategy. Every spacefaring race had developed similar tactics. There was a right way and a wrong way to fight in space, and the aliens knew all the right ways. As they entered the Sol system, their sensors immediately detected the human defense fleet. Just as their scouts had reported, approximately 300 human ships waited near Earth. The ships formed a traditional defensive line between the alien fleet and the human homeworld. Admiral Kethros felt almost sad as he looked at the human formation. "They are brave," he admitted to his staff. "Foolish, but brave." The alien fleet advanced slowly and carefully. There was no need to rush. Their overwhelming advantage made victory certain. The only question was how quickly the humans would surrender once they realized the hopelessness of their situation. That was when the first strange thing happened. Human communications were not encrypted. The aliens could listen to everything the human fleet was saying to each other. But instead of desperate battle orders or frightened prayers, the humans seemed to be joking. "Hey Martinez, you owe me 50 credits when this is over," one human pilot said over an open channel. "Only if your bucket of bolts can keep up with my ship," another voice replied, laughing. 10-to-1 odds that the big crystal ship in front explodes like a firework when we hit it," a third human added. Admiral Kethros frowned. He asked his communication officer. Before anyone could answer, the human fleet charged, but they did not charge in formation. They did not follow any recognizable battle plan. The human ships scattered in all directions like a swarm of angry insects. They moved in wild patterns that made no tactical sense. Commander Yexus demanded. The aliens tried to respond with their traditional tactics. Battleships fired massive energy beams at the approaching humans, but the human ships were moving too erratically. They twisted and dove and spun in ways that made them nearly impossible to target. Then the humans began shooting back. But their weapons were strange. Instead of proper energy beams, they fired clouds of small objects that moved very fast. The alien shields, designed to stop energy weapons, did nothing against these kinetic projectiles. The first alien ship to be destroyed was the Zelthani cruiser Crystal Harmony. A cloud of tiny metal balls hit it at incredible speed. The beautiful crystal hull shattered like glass, and the ship broke apart in seconds. Admiral Kethros shouted. More human ships attacked using tactics that violated everything the aliens knew about space warfare. Some humans flew their ships directly at alien vessels as if they intended to crash into them. At the last second, they would launch small attack craft and spin away, leaving the aliens to deal with swarms of tiny ships that darted around like angry wasps. "They fight like they are insane," one of the alien bridge officers reported. But the humans were not actually committing suicide. Their pilots ejected safely just before impact. The aliens were fighting against humans who treated their own ships as disposable weapons. Worse yet, the human ships kept talking to each other in their strange, cheerful way. "Nice shot, Rodriguez!" Admiral Kethros realized that the humans were enjoying the battle. They were not fighting grimly for survival. They were having fun. Then came the second shock. As the aliens focused on the chaotic human fleet in front of them, massive explosions erupted throughout their formation. Ships that had been undamaged suddenly lost power or erupted in flames. Admiral Kethros demanded. The Admiral looked at his tactical display in horror. What he had thought were normal asteroids scattered throughout the system were actually camouflaged human weapons platforms. As he watched, more asteroids opened up to reveal gun batteries, missile launchers, and energy weapons. But even this was not the worst surprise. The space stations orbiting Earth suddenly changed. Civilian docking bays slid away to expose massive weapon systems. Communication arrays reoriented to become targeting sensors. Even the orbital elevators that carried cargo between Earth and its space stations sprouted enormous railguns. "The entire system is a fortress," Commander Yexus whispered. Then Earth's moon began to open. Great metal doors that had been hidden across the lunar surface slid apart. The moon revealed itself to be hollow, converted into the largest weapons platform in the galaxy. Weapon systems the size of city buildings emerged from the depths. Admiral Kethros watched in growing horror as the moon turned toward his fleet like a great gray eye opening to look at them. He asked weakly. His tactical officer checked the sensors again and again, unable to believe what he was seeing. "Sir, I count over 15,000 human ships now." "That is impossible." "Not anymore, sir. The humans have hollowed them out and turned them into ship factories. We are not fighting Earth's defense fleet." The human laughter on the communication channels grew louder as more and more alien ships were destroyed. The aliens tried to retreat into better defensive formations, but they were surrounded. Human ships seemed to appear from everywhere. Admiral Kethros finally understood why the human generals had been laughing 6 months ago. The aliens had not declared war on a species. They had declared war on a concept, the idea that peace was more important than preparedness. As his flagship shook under human weapons fire, Admiral Kethros sent a desperate message back to the Galactic Council. "This is not a battle," he transmitted. "This is a lesson. The humans have been teaching us something we never learned. We thought we were fighting 300 ships." The message ended abruptly as the Eternal Glory's communication array was destroyed by a human missile. In the growing wreckage of what had been the most powerful fleet in galactic history, human voices continued to chatter cheerfully to each other. "Anyone keeping score? Pass the ammunition." The emergency signal reached the Galactic Council 47 minutes after the battle began. Ambassador Zelthak's crystal body flickered with shock as he listened to Admiral Kethros's desperate transmission. "Impossible," he said to the other council members. "The humans cannot have 15,000 ships." Commander Yexus, monitoring the battle from her command ship far behind the main fleet, sent another message. Her voice was tight with panic. "Council members, we need immediate reinforcements. The human weapons are unlike anything we have faced. They are using principles of warfare that we do not understand. Our shields are useless." The council members looked at each other nervously. They had sent their most powerful fleet against what should have been a minor problem. Now that fleet was being destroyed. "Send the reserve fleets," ordered the Vorthak High Commander. "Every ship we have in nearby systems." But when the aliens tried to mobilize their reinforcements, strange things began to happen. On Vorthak Prime, the main military fuel depot exploded without warning. Investigators found that critical safety systems had mysteriously failed. The explosion destroyed enough fuel to supply 100 warships. On Zelthani, the communication network that coordinated fleet movements crashed completely. Engineers could not understand why their quantum transmitters had stopped working. They never suspected that a human technician named Sarah Walsh, who had been maintaining their systems for 8 years, had planted a virus in their computers. The Threxian shipyards tried to launch their reserve fleet, but half the ships would not start. Their engines had been sabotaged. The other half launched successfully, but never reached the battle. They received false navigation signals that sent them to empty star systems hundreds of light years away. Dr. Marcus Thompson smiled as he watched Threxian engineers frantically checking their ships. For 12 years, he had worked as a civilian contractor helping to design their navigation systems. The Threxians trusted him completely. They had no idea he was a colonel in human intelligence. Across alien space, the same story repeated itself. Fuel supplies exploded. Communication networks failed. Supply ships carrying ammunition suffered mysterious computer malfunctions that stranded them in deep space. Food distribution centers experienced contamination scares that forced them to destroy their stockpiles. The aliens had always been proud of their peaceful society. They welcomed visitors from other species. They shared their technology freely. They believed that cooperation and trust were the foundations of galactic civilization. They never realized that humans had been taking advantage of that trust for generations. Maria Santos had lived on the Vorthak homeworld for 23 years. She had married a Vorthak engineer, raised 3 children, and become a respected member of her community. Her neighbors knew her as a teacher at the local school, but Maria was also a major in human special operations. When she received the activation signal, she began her real work. The water treatment plant where her husband worked suddenly developed serious chemical imbalances. The power grid that supplied the military districts experienced rolling blackouts. Traffic control systems malfunctioned, creating chaos in the streets. The aliens began to realize that the humans they had welcomed into their society were not what they seemed to be. Asked a terrified Zelthani official as his planet's communication network collapsed. The answer was worse than any alien could imagine. 68,000 human operatives had been living throughout alien space for decades. They had infiltrated every major military installation, every important industry, and every critical infrastructure system. The humans had not just prepared for war, they had prepared to fight a war against an entire galaxy. Back in the Sol system, the battle was reaching its conclusion. Admiral Kethros watched from his damaged flagship as the alien fleet fell apart around him. Less than half of the original 10,000 ships were still functioning. "Request immediate ceasefire," he transmitted to the human fleet. General Chen's voice came back over the communication channel. She sounded politely surprised. "Surrender? But we haven't started fighting yet. This was just our defensive response. You wanted to see how humans fight a war." Admiral Kethros felt his blood turn cold. "Oh no," General Chen replied cheerfully. "This was just our home defense system. We have been preparing for this war for over 2 centuries. Dull. The Admiral looked at his tactical display. Most of the human ships in the battle appeared to be converted civilian vessels. If this was their practice fleet, what did their real military look like? "The humans have been studying us," reported his intelligence officer, who had been analyzing human battle tactics during the fight. "They knew exactly how we would attack. They predicted our formations, our weapon choices, even our retreat patterns." Admiral Kethros finally began to understand the scope of his mistake. The aliens had approached this conflict like a traditional war between civilized species. They had expected formal battles with clear rules and honorable conduct. But humans did not fight like civilized species. They fought like humans. Every human innovation in their history had been driven by the need to fight more effectively. Agriculture had developed because armies needed food. Technology advanced because warriors needed better weapons. Space travel itself had been invented because humans wanted to control territory. The aliens had evolved beyond warfare to achieve peace and cooperation. Humans had evolved through warfare to achieve dominance and expansion. General Chen appeared on the main screen. Behind her, Admiral Kethros could see the command center buried deep beneath Earth's surface. The walls were covered with displays showing the status of military operations across the entire galaxy. "Admiral Kethros," General Chen said politely, "I hope this battle has been educational. You wanted to remove humans from the galaxy because you thought we were too aggressive, but aggression is not our weakness. She gestured to the displays behind her. While you were fighting our defensive fleet, our offensive forces were taking control of key systems throughout your territory. The Admiral stared in shock. "Oh no," General Chen replied with a smile. "We already owned them. We have just stopped pretending otherwise. Your people have been living under human protection for generations." She leaned forward. "You see, Admiral, we learned something important from studying your species. You are all peaceful and cooperative and trusting. These are wonderful qualities. The galaxy needs species like yours to create art, develop science, and build beautiful civilizations." General Chen stood up. "The war is over, Admiral. Not because we defeated you, but because we never needed to fight you in the first place. We have been your guardians for 2 centuries. Admiral Kethros realized that the humans had not been fighting for survival. They had been teaching a lesson. The lesson was simple. Peace was only possible when someone was strong enough to enforce it. He asked quietly. "Now you go home and tell the Galactic Council the truth," General Chen replied. "Tell them that humans are not a threat to galactic peace. We are the reason galactic peace exists. Tell them that from now on we will stop hiding our protection." 3 months after the battle, the Galactic Council met again in the Great Hall on Centauri Prime. But this time the mood was very different. The 12 alien species sat quietly around their glowing table, no longer confident or proud. Admiral Kethra stood before them, his uniform still bearing scars from the battle. He had spent weeks preparing his report, but he still struggled to find the right words. "Council members," he began, "we did not lose a war." Ambassador Zeltak's crystal body dimmed. "The humans did not fight us," Admiral Kethros continued. "They educated us." He activated a holographic display that showed the battle statistics. The numbers were shocking. The alien fleet had lost over 60% of its ships. Human casualties were less than 2%. "But these numbers do not tell the real story," the Admiral said. "The humans could have destroyed us completely. They chose not to." A Threxian counselor raised her tentacle. Admiral Kethros paused, remembering conversations he had with human prisoners after the battle. The humans had been polite, even friendly. They seemed genuinely interested in helping the aliens understand what had happened. "They wanted us to learn that peace and war are not opposites," he said. "Peace exists because someone is strong enough to protect it. We achieved peace in our civilizations because we forgot how to fight." The room fell silent as the aliens absorbed this idea. Kithara, the Zelthani philosopher, stood slowly. Her crystal body sparkled with thoughtful patterns of light. She had spent the past 3 months studying human history, trying to understand how their species had developed so differently. "I have reached a conclusion," she announced. The other council members turned to listen. Kithara was known throughout the galaxy for her wisdom and insight. "We assumed that humans were like us," she continued. "We thought they had evolved past violence to achieve spaceflight just as we did. We were wrong." She gestured, and new images appeared in the air. They showed human history, wars, conflicts, and struggles that had shaped their species for thousands of years. "Every major human innovation came from military necessity," Kithara explained. "They developed agriculture to feed armies. They created industry to build weapons. They invented computers to calculate artillery trajectories." The aliens studied the images with growing understanding. "But this is not a flaw in human nature," Kithara continued. "It is their greatest strength. While we learned to avoid conflict, humans learned to master it. We became peaceful by becoming weak." Commander Yexus, who had survived the battle aboard her command ship, spoke up. "But they are aggressive and violent." "No," Kithara replied gently. They are prepared and professional. She showed new images. Human colonies, human families, human children playing in parks. The aliens saw a species that valued peace and cooperation just as much as any other civilized race. Humans do not enjoy violence, Kithara explained. They enjoy being so good at violence that they rarely need to use it. Their entertainment shows battles because they want to study conflict. Their history books record wars because they want to learn from mistakes. Admiral Kethros nodded. The humans I spoke with after the battle were not angry or proud of their victory. They seemed relieved. They were protecting us, Kithara said. From the beginning, humans have been the galaxy's immune system. They scattered across space not to conquer, but to watch for threats. The revelation hit the Council like a shockwave. For over 2 centuries, while the alien species had enjoyed peace and prosperity, humans had been quietly standing guard. Every trade route, every colony world, every important system had been under human protection. The pirates that stopped raiding our shipping lanes 50 years ago, whispered a Vorthak counselor. The plague that mysteriously never spread beyond the outer rim. All human interventions, Admiral Kethros confirmed. Ambassador Zelthak's voice was quiet. Kithara smiled, a beautiful pattern of light flowing through her crystal form. Because they knew we would react exactly as we did. We would see their strength as a threat instead of understanding it as protection. The council chamber fell silent as the aliens contemplated the true scope of human dedication. For 2 centuries, humans had sacrificed their own comfort and safety to protect species that did not even know they needed protection. Asked the Threxian counselor. General Chen's voice came from a communication panel at the center of the table. The human had been listening to the entire discussion. Now we stop hiding, she said simply. The galaxy needs to know that protection exists. A holographic image of General Chen appeared in the room. Behind her, the aliens could see the vast command center that coordinated human operations across the galaxy. We propose a new arrangement, General Chen continued. The Galactic Council will continue to govern trade, diplomacy, and peaceful cooperation between species. You want to become our military, Admiral Kethros said. We already are your military, General Chen replied with a gentle smile. She gestured to displays behind her that showed the true extent of human operations. The aliens saw a network of protection that spanned the entire galaxy. Human bases guarding critical systems. Human agents monitoring potential threats. Human fleets patrolling trade routes. The universe is not a safe place, General Chen explained. There are species out there that never learned the value of cooperation. There are forces that threaten everything we have built together. Kithara stepped forward. General Chen's smile grew wider. We want you to keep doing what you do best. Create beautiful art, develop amazing science, build peaceful societies, explore the mysteries of existence. And we want you to trust us to do what we do best. Watch for threats, prepare for conflicts, fight the battles that need to be fought. The council voted unanimously to accept the human proposal. As the meeting ended, Admiral Kethros had one final question. General Chen, he said, when we first declared war on humanity, your generals laughed. General Chen paused, remembering that day 6 months earlier when the alien ultimatum had reached Earth. We laughed, she said, because we had been waiting so long for you to finally notice us. But mostly, she added with a warm smile, we laughed because we knew this day would end not with conquest, but with understanding. Because humans will always be watching. The transmission ended, but the council chamber remained silent for a long time. Outside the windows, stars twinkled peacefully in the night sky. For the first time in galactic history, everyone knew that those stars were protected. And in the darkness between the stars, human ships moved silently through space, watching and waiting, ready to defend a galaxy that had finally learned the difference between peace and helplessness.